Welcome back to News First. DFS, GUAM, and Lotte Duty Free were in Judge Art Barcenas' courtroom yesterday for a status conference. PNC's Melissa Leon Guerrero has the details.
As you may recall, the lawsuit filed by DFS in 2013 against the Guam International Airport Authority and Lotte was broken into two separate cases. Now that the matter between DFS and GIAA has been decided, the case between DFS and Lotte will have its day in court. Lotte's legal counsel, Cesar Cabot, explains this has nothing to do with the procurement case that was just ruled upon last month.
And this has only to do with the intentional torts, they call them torts, that have been alleged against each other. DFS is alleging one tort against Lotte, an intentional interference with a prospective contract. And Lotte has countersued for three causes of action: intentional interference with a valid contract, malicious prosecution, and malicious abuse of process.
DFS has filed a motion to dismiss those counterclaims, but those claims, says DFS legal counsel Jay Srinivasan, are just a part of yesterday's status conference. During the course of doing discovery in the suit against DFS, he says they unearthed more evidence against Lotte.
We want to add allegations of misconduct committed by Lotte that we didn't know about when we filed our complaint, when we first filed it a few years back. Now that we've had the benefit of discovery, we want to add allegations.
He says they're still vetting those allegations and figuring out how to present them into the complaint, but as a matter of course, they had to inform the court what they proposed to do in that case. Cabot, meantime, calls the claims frivolous, which Srinivasan says is a moot point since the court has ruled that the DFS case does hold validity. Lotte has asked the judge to reconsider that ruling, however. Cabot says that after nearly 5 years of this case being played out in the courts, it's become frustrating to use resources towards the case that can be used elsewhere. He adds,
but certainly this creates a chilling effect on any foreign investor that looks at Guam to do business when the DFS has engaged in this type of manner through the courts.
Srinivasan takes exception to this claim, however, and says he couldn't disagree with Cabot more. To wit,
but you now already have a judge now on Guam who has said this was done badly. This is a bad procurement. You did it the wrong way. You knew from the outset you did it the wrong way, and you didn't do anything about it. I'm here to shut it down. What occurred between Lotte and DFS, and GIAA, was unprecedented. And we have a judge who is calling them to the mat on that. That's what industry looks at. That's the opposite of a chilling effect.
Srinivasan says the new evidence they've discovered will show that the airport and Lotte had a relationship that he describes as improper and that they were already in cahoots during the course of the RFP. That motion and subsequent evidence will be introduced in the next few weeks. For PNC News, I'm Melissa Leon Guerrero.
And Lotte was awarded that 10-year contract on June 21st of 2013. Judge Art Barcenas last month ruled that the airport violated procurement laws when awarding that concession contract.
A boat, its fishing net, and its fish were confiscated in the Agana Boat Basin, or Agana Marina, this morning. But it did not belong to Johnny Atulay Taitano. According to Assistant Chief of Port Police Chris Roberto, they received a complaint of illegal fishing in the Agana Marina. Marina rules and regulations prohibit net fishing in the harbor. So Port Police responded and confiscated a small fishing boat along with its net and its fish. Assistant Chief Roberto says the fishing occurred in the outer harbor. He says the investigation is ongoing and no arrests have been made. Meanwhile, Mr. Taitano, who is more commonly known as Johnny Atulay, tells PNC that the boat and the fishing equipment are not his. He says they belong to another fisherman altogether. Atulay has been at odds with authorities over what he says is his right to fish in the Agana Marina.
Well, the Guam Memorial Hospital Volunteers Association is gearing up for its signature event coming up in a few months. The GMHVA Charity Ball is in its 53rd year of inception, and this year their theme is Live Life, Give Life. The group hopes to raise enough money to buy $200,000 worth of equipment for the hospital. GMHVA President Joyce Crisostomo says after receiving a wish list from hospital administrators and others, they were able to hone in on what they wanted this year's funds to go towards.
This particular one we're asking for is to support to purchase 2 medical equipment, which is the echocardiogram and the rapid point gas analyzer. And both equipments are very necessary, so we're pleading with our community, our corporate sponsors, our businesses, even individuals. You know, every little bit counts.
Chrysostemo and event chairperson Amanda Shelton says this year's event will feature a lot of entertainment, with some of the Pink Ladies giving a performance, as well as live music and raffle prizes. Acknowledging the sometimes negative publicity and reputation GMH gets, the Volunteers Association feels it's important to show support to the island's only civilian public hospital. Shelton says this event is especially good for those who want to help the ailing agency but don't know how to.
This is a way that you can help the hospital. You can have a direct impact and give your donation so you can make a difference.
This year's charity ball takes place on April 7th at the Deuce at Tawny. Tickets can be purchased at the hospital gift shop or from GMH VA members.
A team from Virgin Orbit, which is under the umbrella of Richard Branson's Virgin Group, was on island last week for an exploratory visit, testing out the waters on whether Guam could be the site for its new spaceport. That would be an airport designed to launch things into space. PNC's Melissa Leon Guerrero has more.
Virgin Orbit's Vice President of Business Development and Government Affairs, Richard Dalbello, said they were pleased with the support they were met with. He said this visit was a culmination of a couple years of discussion and coordination with the governor's office, particularly Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio, as well as Guam delegate Madeline Berdalio and the management teams at the Guam International Airport Authority and the Port Authority of Guam. Dalbello says a spaceport is an actual designation of the FAA with its own set of rules separate from an airport in that all its activities center around flying rockets. He said most spaceports have a traditional vertical rocket stationary launch pad. What Virgin Orbit is doing, though, is turning that idea on its heels. They're instead exploring the possibility of attaching a rocket to the wings of a 747 named Cosmic Girl, taking it to 35,000 feet, then launching it from there. Not only will this reduce the restrictions posed on traditional rocket launches, such as weather and area clearance, but Guam's unique location allows more flexibility for what kinds of satellites they can launch. Usually, he says, rockets can only be launched in one direction due to several factors. For example, they can't launch over populated areas. Guam allows them to launch in different directions, which opens up the possibilities that aren't available to them from their current launch site in the Mojave Desert. GIAA Deputy Manager Peter Roy Martinez said Virgin conducted a physical site evaluation of their facilities during the visit. They are currently awaiting Virgin's assessment to see if Guam is indeed an ideal place for their spaceport. Dalbello noted this was just their initial visit to the island and they will definitely be back. Virgin Orbit's first launch is scheduled for this year, with a second one from its new spaceport earmarked for 2019. For PNC News, I'm Melissa Leon Guerrero.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Sounds like a very exciting,
Outer space.
I'd love to
Guam.
go there if I would be allowed. All right, well, let's check in with Joycelyn Attelig. She's standing by with weather.